All right. So it looks like we're good and live. Let's see. Yeah, sound levels look good. Let me know if there's anything weird going on that I'm not noticing, but I think we're ready. I've got piping hot coffee here, and it's Friday morning, March 25th. Welcome, everybody. Please go ahead and say hi in the chat. Let me know what you're up to today. For me, this is the end of our spring break week. So last day of spring break. And we're going to do some Illustrator today. So it's kind of weird. Like when I post links here, you know, inside of Behance, it kind of saves your previous stream's name. So you don't have to type it in again and again. Mine changes every time, so it doesn't really matter to me. But, you know, I actually sent this link out to a couple places. I usually don't do that, but I did this morning because why not? And it's weird because it didn't put the correct title into any of those. This is revisiting 3D workflows in Illustrator, not more skulls, please, which was last week. So if you're looking for skulls, I do have a skull that I'm going to be using in Illustrator here. Here's our little skull that we made a few weeks ago, but we're going to focus on 3D tools inside of here instead of skulls. Oh, hey, Erica. How are you doing? Anybody else wrapping up their spring break? Do you get spring? What do you, when do you have spring break, or do you have spring break, Erica? Yeah, no, I'm excited to do this too. I did a similar Illustrator thing a few weeks ago, or a few months ago, really, and it just kept crashing on me when I was trying to use the 3D options. I've heard that it's much more stable now in this newer release of Illustrator, so I figured let's go for it again, right? So 2 weeks ago was spring break for Erica. Yeah. After this, we've got 5 more weeks of classes in the semester. And then we're into summer, I guess. So crazy. All right. So I've already got a document open up right here. 3D Tools AI.ai. I don't know why I put the AI as part of the name, but sometimes people do things. So we've got a little background layer here with just a rectangle, just so it's not glaring white, burning my eyes out. So we're going to work within this assets layer that I created right above there. And this is sort of how I tend to lay out my Illustrator workspace. I love my layers, color and swatches up here, navigator, then my properties. I'm really glad that they've been integrating a properties panel into, you know, all the older Adobe applications. Of course, any that they acquired from Macromedia years ago already had a properties panel or properties inspector built into it, right? And yeah, we're finally starting to see that migrate across to older Adobe apps. So, hello, is it Diaz? I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Welcome. Let me know how things are going with you today on this Friday. At least Friday for me. I suppose for some people, if you're hitting me from New Zealand, Australia, it may be maybe Saturday already, right? Not sure. But early Friday morning for me in Colorado. All right, so the first thing we want to do is just create a simple shape. So I'm going to go into my, nope, stop that. My ellipse tool. And let's just create an ellipse here. Actually, let's make sort of like what you could think of as a kind of like door plate. So yeah, I've been thinking about house stuff a lot lately because I am planning a bunch of projects with my house, painting and remodeling and things like that. So things like this are on my mind. All right, let's kill the stroke. Just turn that off. And this is fine. It's just a white oval, ellipse, whatever you might want to call it. And we can start working with this. So with this selected, right, we don't have any of the panels that go along with 3D and materials. But I need to open those up. So let's go to Window. And if you look here, we got 3D and materials. So if I open that, and there we go. There's our 3D and materials. So I could always group that in with one of the existing panels I have out there, but I've got enough space here. I can just shift my my artboard over there. And of course, this is a technology preview that we're dealing with. Now I thought, that's interesting. On my laptop, I've got 3D materials, and I also have 3D materials. What's it called? Like 3D and Materials Classic or something like that. I can actually use the older stuff, and on this machine I can't. I wonder if because this is a M1 and that is not. So there's a question, how long does it take to learn Illustrator? It depends on what you're trying to learn in Illustrator, right? If you want to learn everything in Illustrator, I don't know, maybe 40 or 50 years. I certainly don't know everything in Illustrator. You know, somebody like Tony Harmer, who's on LinkedIn Learning as well, he knows probably the most about Illustrator of anybody that I know. So, you know, I would definitely say maybe take some of his classes on LinkedIn Learning. There's a classroom and a book for Adobe Illustrator on Peach Pit, Adobe Press. Give that a peek. Those are two good ways to get the fundamentals down, right? If you're just looking for the fundamentals, like that stuff will do very well. There's also free content on Adobe's website, on the Illustrator website under the Learn option, HelpX. There's integrated Learn options inside of Illustrator itself. If you go to the home screen here, there's a Learn tab. Lots of different ways to learn Illustrator. Or just watching people on Behance mess around with certain things, right? So, now that I've got my ellipse... no, that's okay. I'm always worried about my, my stream health now. Because a couple of weeks ago, Behance just went kind of nuts. And my stream health just stuttered like crazy. And I don't know why. It was really weird. But it only happened that one time. It's been consistently good otherwise. But yeah, we just want to create sort of like a 3D element from just simple objects here. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to use some text. And then maybe we'll pull that skull over since, you know, why not reuse content that we already have, right? But we're going to start simple. So I've got my 3D and materials here. So if you ever use Dimension or Stager, this will look kind of familiar. You've got your object properties, your materials, and your lighting. So if I go to object here, right now this is not a 3D object whatsoever, because we have to choose a specific 3D type. And here are the different types. You know, you've got inflate, create volume by adding convex depth to the path. You've got revolve, which sort of like takes a point and revolves around it. So if we chose this, we could make sort of like a fat disc sort of thing, right? A big macaron or something, right? Using revolve. We've got extrude, which is going to extrude outward, right? So you'll be able to have a back face, a front face, and then sides. And then plane is basically just like cards in space sort of thing. You can just like move things around 3D axis. So Erica asks, do you think they'll be moving this out of Illustrator as they move 3D out of Photoshop? No, because this is brand new. So if you look here, technology preview down below, if you click on that, you can read about it. This 3D materials, the new 3D materials is still in technology preview. The old 3D materials that Illustrator used to have, those are going to go away once this comes out of preview, is my understanding, because they're not going to have like both sets, you know? But yeah, this is new and this is going to stay. This is all built off of Substance 3D tech. So I do think that, or at least I hope that they'll be bringing stuff like this back into Photoshop. Because yeah, they did remove that stuff from Photoshop, which is kind of a bummer. Because a lot of people use the 3D tools inside of Photoshop and now they can't. They've been deprecated. But I don't know anything about whether that's the plan or not. I do hope it is, though, because it's fun to have the option to, make things more 3D. So for this, since it's a nameplate, I want it to extrude. So I'm going to choose extrude. And there we go. So it's created those different faces for us, right? And it's also actually tilted this a bit. If we look down below here, we've got the preset for off-axis front. I actually just want this straight front, just like this. And of course, you can't really see it when it's like that, right? You don't see the extruded parts. Because what you would have to do is use this little gizmo down here and be able to rotate. Once I start rotating, then you can start, you can see these different bits and pieces, right? So let's just rotate this down a little bit. Let's put it on an even number. I never like to have property values on odd numbers. It's just like this thing that I have. So I try to always control that a little bit when I can. So we can choose to use a bevel on our extrusion or not. So that's a fat bevel right there. Let's take that down quite a bit. And yeah, the bevel's kind of cool. That might work for what we're doing. We got classic, we got round, convex, step, classic outline. That's pretty cool. It makes like a lip around the edge. Round outline. So you get choices here. Square outline might be good. Yeah, let's do that. And again, let's take that width to a even number here. Now I'm going to save quite often, just Command or Control S as we go through here, because you never know. Last time again that I tried to use 3D materials in a stream like this in Illustrator, it destroyed the stream and it was bad. Illustrator just kept crashing. We've been pretty lucky this time, but we haven't done much yet. So depth here is at 50 points. See, we can really extrude that quite a bit, but I just want to take it like 26. That's 20. 20 is okay, I guess. I know. 26. Let's go. 26. All right. So there are object properties. We have set the properties for the object. We set the type, the depth, the bevel, which is optional, of course, and our rotation. Now we may have to come back and play with these later, right? But right now, this is good. So let's move on to materials here. This is always really cool. Let's make this bigger so we can see what's going on. So if we look up here, there are all sorts of materials. We're using the based material right now, which is default, which is, what you always see inside of like Dimension when you pull out a model and place it into the environment. You always just have this kind of like gray plastic looking thing. Then you've got substance materials. So these are high quality professional materials from the Substance 3D library. And we've got all sorts of different materials here. You can, of course, add materials. So if you downloaded materials from Substance 3D's website, here's where you find more from the community assets, and then you can find more from Substance right there. But we're gonna just use something here. So like I said, I wanna go with this being some kind of a plate on a door. So let's do a die cast brass. All right, so notice it doesn't look all that great right now, right? It's not very realistic, but Illustrator tells us right here, you know, for high quality output, switch on ray tracing, switch it off to work faster for real-time preview. So this is just a preview right here. So if we say, okay, if I switch on ray tracing, it's gonna look better. And we have here quality. So low, medium, high, noise reduction. Go for it. Yeah, so it still doesn't look great, but once we get to lighting, we can control that a little more. And down below here, we've got a number of different properties for our material. So we can change the resolution. We want to bring that up. The repetition. So how often does it repeat? There we go. So you'll notice that makes a big difference. Brass color variation. So the cool thing about these materials in Substance, and now in Illustrator, is that you'll notice that all of these different properties we can change for these materials are actually like specific for the material itself. So that's something that I think is really cool about these materials. It makes them really really versatile. You can really like take the same material, apply it to two objects, and make the two objects look completely different, even though they're using the same material, right? Let's bring aging up a bit. Oxidation. That's pretty cool. Let's oxidize this thing. Nice. Look at that. Huh. I should probably disable ray tracing for now. Localized oxidation. Let's pull that up a bit more. Scratches intensity. So yeah, there are tons and tons of different properties in here that you can go through and tweak to make things look different. Luminosity, let's take that down a little bit. Yeah, it's good. All right, so that's pretty cool. I'm not gonna mess with many more of those parameters, but you can apply these different materials to any of your objects, but you have to make them a 3D object first, right? Let's do a little ray trace preview here again. See how it looks. Yeah, so it's getting there. All right, lighting. This is gonna be super important because right now it's not lit very well. What we can do here is change the different presets for our lighting. Right now it's using the standard lighting, where we have the ability to change the intensity of the lighting, right? So I would probably take that down a bit to make it look better. The position of the light. So of course it'll cast shadows in different spots depending upon where it is, right? So let's put it, I don't know, 160-ish. The height of the light. So the higher up it is, right? You can see how the shadows are affected, and the closer it is. Softness. So we want harsh light. Do we want softer light? Does the object cast a shadow? So yeah, let's go ahead and cast a shadow. So we can choose behind the object, below the object, distance from the object. Then we've got shadow bounds down below here. And what's that going to do? Is that going to soften it for me? No, not quite. I'm not quite sure what that is, honestly. But let's go ahead and have a look. Shadows are oftentimes, if you've ever done stuff inside of something like Dimension or Stager, shadows can be a little weird. Because they always look really junky in preview. And sometimes, like in Stager, they will look, they'll be like in the wrong spot and everything. Like something will be casting a shadow. It'll be in a completely incorrect spot for what we're doing. So it's kind of interesting how that works. All right, so there's that. And of course the shadow will change depending upon the light, right? So if we take the light closer, it's gonna make the shadow closer. And of course, it's taking forever to render at this point because we've got lights, we've got materials, we've got all this different stuff being applied here. Let's take the intensity down somewhat. And I should really have ray tracing off for this. Here we are. And we also have ambient light. So you could always turn that on or off. That's just the environmental ambience, how it's lit. So let's see here. We've also got the ability to have, you know, light coming from just presets top left, right? A diffuse light. So if we click diffuse, you can see how that changes things quite a bit, right? It's taking absolutely forever to render now. But we want to go back to our standard light. And it looks like we just have to... Undo's not doing it for us here. And standard just brought us back to where we were, so... Just have to tweak this again. Until it looks like we want it to. I think that's pretty spot on. And anybody who's just joining us, you know, please go ahead and say hi. Let me know how things are going for you. All right, so that's pretty good. We've got that guy there. Now, notice like nothing's happening with the background, right? Something that you can always do is you can always turn the background into a 3D object as well. So if I choose my background object, and look here, you know, it's nothing right now. Let's just make that a plane. And I don't want it, I just want front. There we go. So that's a 3D object now, right? Which means, of course, that I can apply, you know, any of the materials to it that I want to, and anything else. Even though I'm not doing an extrusion or anything like that, it's just what it is. So for this background, let's do something like, sometimes it's hard to read these. To know exactly what they are, right? Oh, hello, Elena. Or Elena. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Welcome, either way. I hope I got it right. And I apologize if I did not. So this is like a concrete, which is pretty cool. Not quite like a door, but that's okay. Let's see here. Let's take the repetition down. 64, there we go. Concrete color, we got roughness here. We can play with all these different materials. And notice again, you know, these are all particular to the very specific material that I chose, right? So, look, we got a dirt slider here. Add some more dirt to that. And that's all I want to do there. Oh, we could change the lighting a bit. Again, let's take the intensity down somewhat. And set that rotation to kind of like the same that we did for our other object. So that's 159 for this one. So let's change this one to, oh, it's pretty close, 158. But I want it exact. Change the height of our light. Softness again, and so forth. But I'm not gonna play with it too much. That's fine. Lock that layer down again. All right, cool. So this is getting somewhere, isn't it? Let's go and let's add our skull to this. So we've got this skull that we created a ways ago. Actually, let's grab the text here, because you can actually use text as well inside of 3D, right? Doesn't quite fit right here. Stop. And let's take our fill to just a white or gray, I don't know, whatever. Normal 100%. It's using a typeface called Blackbeard. And yeah, I'm not sure why it's looks like it's got some kind of a blend mode applied to it or something, but I don't know why. Because it looks like opacity is just fine right here. Oh, it's got soft light on it, that's why. Normal. There we go. Oh, and I need to... I originally went in here to pull down the size of this text so it fits inside of our little plate. 58 might do it for us. No, a little more. And yeah, so with the text selected, let's go in and perform some extrusion. And it's always going to try to jump, right? It always does this sort of, what's it called here? The rotation off axis front. That's just the default. Whenever you create an extrusion, it's going to just do that. But of course, that can be easily fixed. You just say front. There we go. And just like we did here, we've got that 171 something something something. Choose our text and we're just gonna pop that out a little bit. And again, let's add some material to this. I want this to be something dark, but not fine leather. What is this? Obsidian. Ooh. That's might be too dark. Painted wood parquet cube. Sure. Why not? Let's see what we've got here for our properties. Paint color, let's change that up a little. Ew. No. Yeah, it's good. I need to sneeze. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Little sneeze. Wood color. Thin paint color. Look at all these options we have here, you know? Change all these colors. All right, cool. Let's go back to our object. Right now the depth is 50 points. Let's take that down to like 20. And let's have a look at that. No, maybe 30. When it comes to our lighting, again, let's take that. Let's do standard and just kind of modify it. And yeah, I want to cast shadows. Now this might be a little strange. It's casting the shadows behind our object, of course, but they are, doesn't look very good. And of course, you know, it's funny, like I keep thinking of this as though I am, as though I'm sort of, manipulating this as a 3D scene, like I'm using dimension or something, which is kind of silly. Because I should be using dimension or something for that, right? All right, let's go ahead and lock that down. I want to bring up my skull as well. My skull. So again, I didn't intend to actually have a skull in this stream, but it's fine. Actually, let's change this guy a little bit. I like his eyes are not, his eyes need to be bigger. Oh, well, yeah, that's right. Nah, forget it. Forget it. Copy. Paste. What a lovely skull. And you can see I've got some appearance on here. If you want to see how we created this skull, you can always look in my replays on Behance to find, it was called like grungifying appearance in Illustrator, I believe. Shift down this plate. Uh-oh. It's catching up to me. We've got a lag. Of course. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. I have no control over it. I've completely lost control of my... Oh, here we go. Going back up. All right. Just going to be a little more cautious here. I'm holding down the shift key and hitting my arrow keys so it jumps like, I don't know what it is, like 10 pixels at a time, 100 pixels, something like that. But it needs to catch up. So really cool though. I mean, I've got a lot of different 3D objects inside of this composition right now, right? But unlike the last time I was messing with 3D in Illustrator, it's actually not crashing on me this time, right? So it's very, they weren't kidding when they said that they did, you know, some stability fixes in terms of the 3D and materials technology preview here. All right, let's size this appropriately and place it in the center here. What are we doing? Is that the center? let's adjust this artboard actually. So I'm gonna edit my artboard. Let's do 6 inches by 8 inches. Just so I can give more room for the skull, right? Make adjustments to the background. I want this 4 by 8, please. Right on. All right, so now I can make this skull larger. Yeah, I mean, we could do transforms on the skull too. Like, let's make the skull a little taller. Why not? All right, that looks like it's sized pretty well. Let's go ahead and make sure this is aligned nicely with the artboard. So in our little align section here, or align area, we're aligning to artboard, and I want to align to the center here. Perfect. All right, so right now this guy is just, he's got some effects appearances here. I don't really need that in there, but it's fine. Now, inside my appearance panel, let's actually turn off some of this stuff. My grain, my drop shadow. Well, I mean, I guess we'll keep the fill on there. But we'll change it to a white. And why am I doing that? We don't need roughen either. Yeah, so it's just a white fill now in my appearance. So why do we want to do that? Because we're going to use material, and we're going to use lighting. And we're going to turn this into, of course, a 3D object. Let's give inflate a try with this skull, right? So create 3D volume by adding convex depth. Perfect. My coffee's almost gone. I think it's probably pretty cold too. Yeah. Cold coffee. I know a lot of people like cold coffee. They buy their coffee as iced coffee and everything. I think cold coffee is kind of gross. I love coffee. I drink a bunch of coffee every day, but yuck. All right, let's go ahead and do some inflation here. And it's kind of hard to tell. Let's add a material on here so we can see what's going on better. Let's just do a fine leather skull. Guy. Huh, that's interesting. I wonder if it's not working because this is a compound path. Huh. All right. Let's go ahead and this is the first time that it's become a perplexing thing here. Let's go into our appearance panel again. And let's just remove all of this. Phil. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, yeah. It's very weird. Let's try to expand. That's a good idea, Erica. I was gonna sort of like break it apart. You know, just like release compound path here, but I bet expand would probably do something. Or release compound path. Yeah, it doesn't seem to... Let's undo that. Oh, hey! Hana's here. Hello, Hana. How are you? Oh, let's give this a go. So it's already a compound path. So Hana knows a lot about Illustrator. I wonder, Hana, have you played with the 3D and materials very much? It seems as though they don't actually apply. Oh, hey, it's working now. Chiao! Look at that. All right, never mind. So let's try to inflate. There we go. Now inflate's working. Very weird. Very weird. So inflate is looking pretty cool for the skull. Let's set this back to front. And again, we'll tweak this a little bit. Although this doesn't matter so much, right? Because we're doing an inflation and not an extrusion. Let's play with our depth here. That's crazy depth. We don't want that. Maybe like 30 or 40. Oh, it wasn't just... Hana, it's been great. I don't know how long you've been here. You said that you've been here for a bit. But, you know, the improvements they've done on 3D materials is much faster for me now, and it doesn't crash Illustrator anymore. So, pretty cool. Oh, I see. Volume does... Yeah, cool. So let's pull this down somewhere around 60 to 70. Here we go. Now, materials. I didn't really want to do fine leather, so let's find something else. Crease plastic film. That's going to look strange. We do obsidian again. Yeah. Painted wood. What is this? Smooth lace trowel stucco. Steel tread. Wow. Gold foil. I don't see bone, but of course you could add a material in here, or you could find one through Substance 3D if they didn't have exactly what you want. This Calcutta marble might... I bet there's some things I can do to tweak the properties and make it look more like bone. And I don't necessarily want this to look like an actual skull, but I want it to look a more skull-like, right? I do too, Hana. I think the 3D stuff inside of Illustrator just like... I mean, it's just really nice to have as an option, you know? Even if it's not something you use a lot. You know, it's great to be able to add that extra dimension to the stuff you're working on. Marble roughness. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, so it's like a marbleized skull. Veins color. Let's go ahead and... Oh, no, let's do green. Oh, wow. Lots of veins. Yikes. Oh, well, whatever. Actually, it looks pretty cool like that. Veins thickness. Yeah. It's very, very interesting. Add stain. Oh, yeah, cool. There's just so many options in each one of these materials to play with, you know? It's just super, super cool. Like, I could just go through materials like for hours. All right, let's go to lighting. See how that's gonna look. Actually, let's turn on our ray tracing so we can see how things appear. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's like stone. All right, so lighting. Let's take the intensity down a little bit. I always find the lighting's a bit intense. We're gonna go to like 168, 169. So it matches everything else. Let's cast shadows. Change the height so that it matches as well. Increase that softness. Your student, Hana, really needs the new 3D stuff for their work? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I mean, I would love to see what, you know, I did a quickie demo to some of my students when I was doing some Illustrator stuff earlier in the semester. But yeah, just like a really quick thing. Some of them picked up on it and used it in their projects, which was cool. But of course, not everybody did, right? Which is fine. It was just a kind of like a, hey, check this out, everybody, kind of thing. Render. And align to Artboard. Boop. Yeah, I mean, I've done so much more. Whoa, what just happened? Adobe Live is now simulcasting your live stream to their audience. Awesome. It's too bad that happens when I'm almost done, but that's okay. I appreciate it. Let's kind of shift that guy up a little bit. It's gonna have to re-render. Then we'll shift our skull back down. Oh, I locked the skull. Just get that spacing better, you know? Yeah. Hello, Elisa. How are you? Yeah, no, it's always cool when it happens, Hannah. And I've had it happen more if I stream in the evening than like right now. But yeah, it's cool when that happens. And I always get more people, more eyes. And I'm sure Adobe for Education likes it when this happens too, right? So I want to do something different with this background here. Just darken it up or something. Change the lighting a bit. Because right now it's just a little too bright. So let's work on that. Maybe change the... We haven't really played with the lighting color at all. Maybe put like sort of a blue hue to the lighting. See how that looks. See? Look at that. Pretty cool. change the intensity, of course. Something nice. Yeah, and you know, I mean, shout out to Adobe for Education for, you know, arranging Adobe Education leaders like myself and Hannah. Hannah also streams, so if you click on her picture in the chat, those who are watching this live, you can actually, you know, check out her work, check out her replays, things like that. Hey, Hannah, I asked Erica earlier about her spring break. This is the last day of spring break for me at University of Colorado Boulder. And I'm curious, how, do you have spring break? And if so, like, where are you in all that? And you know, if there's any students watching right now too, are you all on spring break? Because spring break is for everybody, really, right? For the sanity of students and faculty alike. So I wonder, so I've got everything in here as 3D right now. But I wonder if I go ahead and add a gradient to this, how that's going to look. And, you know, I might be able to do it from the appearance panel. I'm not sure. It seems like there might be some limitations and things like that. Oh, nice. Hannah's last week at USC. That's University of Southern California? Is that what that stands for? Ooh, so let's see. Appearance. In my appearance panel. And let's add an additional fill to this. Add new fill. So I'm not sure. Yeah, so yeah, it's not going to work. So see, I can add the fill here, and it's not, because the material is overlaying everything else, right? So let's remove that. Material overrides all. But what we can do is we can, of course, add in a object as an overlay and change the appearance of that. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to deselect everything and just create a new rectangle right there. University of Spoiled Children. Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not gonna say that isn't accurate for most universities. I don't wanna get in trouble. But there's some truth to that, right? All right. Let's go ahead and check out the appearance here now. So I don't care about the stroke. Just disable that. For our fill, this is what I want. So that's pretty interesting. Look at that, how it's sort of, huh. Wow. That is not what I want, though. Here we go. Here's something really funny. Well, I guess it's not funny so much as like weird. It's sort of like always interesting. I guess interesting is a good word for it. How drastically the various gradient tools differ across across all of the Adobe applications. Oh, look at what I just did. There we go. Undo is such a great thing to have. Yeah, they're all so different how they function. It's really easy to get confused. Like if you're working in Animate and then you go over to Illustrator and, you know, their gradient transform tools just work so differently. Oh, that's cool, Hannah. So Hannah mentions that a lot of our students join our stream, which is fun. Can be problematic as well sometimes, I suppose, but probably more fun than not, right? All right, so here we are in our appearance panel again. Let's change our little blend mode for this object. Right now it's normal. Yeah. Hi, Penny. Welcome. I agree. So Penny says it's a lot like Adobe, like the pen tool in different Adobe software. Like everything has the pen tool in it, just about. But they all just kind of function a little bit differently. Ooh. See, this is some cool stuff. Just adding like these overlays with blend modes to your 3D enabled background in different ways. Which one did I really like? Was it Color Burn? No. Multiply was pretty good. Overlay. Yeah, overlay looks nice. I like that blue that I put. The blue is coming from the 3D object, actually. Looking good. So yeah, I mean, who is here? Say hello. And let me know how you're all doing. We're probably going to be wrapping up this stream pretty soon, but this has been a fun one. Enjoyed chatting with everyone. I usually stream for about an hour or so. So we're really there, just about. And I try to make it so anything that I do during that hour can be done in an hour, right? And like last time I went over a little bit. Actually, I went over quite a bit. We were doing some stuff in Fresco. So before I go, I usually like to just make mention of, let's see if I can get in here, where you can find additional stuff, right? So here is, Oop. This is my Behance profile. So, see, it's using the old, that's not the name that I put into Behance, right? But it's putting it on here. You can see this was last week's. So this is last week's right here. If you want to see how we created this skull, if we go to work here, there he is. He's a smiling little skull. Here's the skull we're using today, and you know the work we're doing in Illustrator right now. I'll put up there as well after the stream is over. And yeah, if you ever want to see what's what, just click on my schedule right here, and this will come up. And here we go. Here's what I'm thinking about doing. Now, you can see today we're doing revisiting 3D workflows in Illustrator, and April the 1st, April Fool's Day, we're gonna do another grungify. So we're gonna grungify appearance in After Effects, which should be pretty fun. This one I'm not so sure about on the 8th. I don't know what I was thinking about animating bitmap content in Animate, but I don't know. Maybe I'll get a good idea around that. I'm not sure. Anyhow, let's go ahead and export this guy. Let's do export and export as maybe, what do I want to do? Big ping file. Ow. And yeah, let's go ahead and export as a big fat ping. Look at him. Isn't he great? 72 PPI, no. 300 PPI. Don't really care about type. And okay. Let's see what we got. If it exported correctly. Ooh. Oh, look at how pretty. Yeah, so there's my little ping. It's your friendly neighborhood ping. Very good. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'll put that up here. The replay for this is going to be up. It usually takes like an hour or two, sometimes 3 or 4 for the replay to appear. But once it does, if you missed the beginning of this and wanted to see the majority of the stuff that we did in creating this sort of 3D rendering in Illustrator, with text, with simple shapes, with complex shapes like this skull here, I almost want to give, the skull looks like a pastry or something. Like I'd like to give it like a croissant texture. Put a little butter on there. Have a nice little breakfast skull, right? Perfect. All right. Well, everyone, Erica, Hannah, Penny, Elisa, Elena, Diaz. I hope you all have a good week ahead of you, a nice weekend beforehand, and I'll be back next week where we'll grungify some stuff in After Effects. Thanks, everyone. See you all later.